Welcome back, everyone. We have, unfortunately, another drama topic to talk about because this never seems to go away. You're gonna have to forgive me. I was planning on not being as animated, and I may just get agitated as we go through. But my allergies are just driving me nuts. I don't know what's going on today, so I'm still working on my coffee. So you'll have to forgive the slurping as we're going through. Today's background video is a recent stream for Look Outside, which is an indie RPG that I'm really glad I found. Really dark humor and some incredible monster design. It's been a lot of fun. I'm not finished with the game yet. I do strongly recommend it at this point in time. I will get it up on YouTube at some point, but that's what's going to be playing. So the drama for today is in the world of Star Wars, where everybody's once again shitting on KTOD for some reason. Look, I know these guys in the sense that I have met them, at least some of them. I introduced myself, shook hands, we talked a little bit. They recognized some of my content, which was kind of cool. But I don't know them personally. It's not like they're the godparents to my children or something like that. But they seem like nice guys. I've met a lot of competitive people over the years, and for the most part, it's obviously not universally true. I've talked about this before, I've been playing competitive card games since 1994. It was my first tournament for card games. It was in 1994. And in my experience, the relationship is the more competitive you are, it's often the kinder the person you are. Not necessarily, like there's a difference between kind and nice, and we could get into a large philosophical discussion about that, but hopefully people get the delineation. Where if you're a competitive person, you tend to, you are kind to other people. Whereas I've found the opposite to be true, that the more casual you are, and again, not always, typically, more of a dick you are because you have all of these other rules that you're setting up that everybody else has to adhere to or it's not allowed. Now, that's not the point of the discussion here, because the latest drama is that some of the playtesters, or a playtester, some playtesters, whatever, somehow leaked all of set 5. That prompted FFG on this past Friday to release the entire set in kind of unceremonious fashion. Little to no fanfare other than a statement acknowledging it, which is good. This is what they should have done. They kind of needed to address this because there is a competitive advantage to be gained if some individuals or teams had access to the entire set for notably longer than everyone else, especially leading into the first Worlds. And it's just unfortunate the whole situation occurred. I don't know the specifics as to how it leaked, but there's some rumors. That's not the focus. Naturally, Reddit was apoplectic. Well after the fact. Like, I saw a post going up complaining about the whole situation. Oh my God, what is FFG going to do? After they released the full spoiler. So the complaint's like, oh my God, these teams have access to the full spoiler. It's like, yes, so do you. You're being ridiculous. Now, where the KTOD part comes in is people were crapping on them because people love to hate winners. They are far and away the most successful team in the game. I am of the opinion that they house the best players in the game. Now, there's going to be a debate to be had between, is Alex or Wu or Tata or whoever better than insert like Lego Pizza Ian, who's also got to be up there. Shout out to Ian. Dude's awesome, by the way. And a number of other people from other parts of the world, other parts of the United States, whatever. But people decide to just crap on them for seemingly no apparent reason other than they are successful in winning. And the alleged integrity infraction or whatever, which is really the focus of this. I had somebody physically to my face recently ask my opinion of what do I think about the concession with KTOD. Now, I've said this on record before. It doesn't bother me. This has been happening for years, and it is the best option of what we have. The goal of a tournament is to identify who the best player is. Now, you could make the argument that if there is a concession such as this involved, that it isn't necessarily true that the better player won. However, there's a whole lot of caveats, enough that I'm not going to list them all, but among them, for example, let's say Wu and Alex played that matchup a gazillion times and they knew how it played out. Why are they going to waste the time? or the random chance that, oh, Alex happens to squeak it out despite it being heavily favored in or being heavily in Wu's favor or something like that. Additionally, and I got really worked up on stream the other day because we were talking about it, and at the end of the day, there is no better alternative. The example I posed is this. Let's say that they meet in the top 4 like this, and Alex has explosive, violent diarrhea, and he does not want to play. We're being exceptionally graphic here for a purpose. The hyperbole is there intentionally. It always is. Let's say that's the case. Are you saying, you hypothetical you, saying that we should force Alex to play, like chain him to the table with a chair or whatever, so that he has to play despite this condition? I think most people, I'm confident there are people out there that say, yes, he has to play. However, I think most people are going to say, no, that's a reasonable reason. Let him just concede. And Wu moves on. Okay, so now we're saying that by definition, there are scenarios where it is okay to have someone concede. So then the only other 2 options left are you allow every concession under any circumstances for any purpose. You can concede for any reason. You don't even have to state it, which is what it is today. Or you need to have a judge adjudicate and have the player explain and defend their justification for concession. And if they do not, in an appropriate manner, the judge can force them to play. And I don't think anybody wants that for a ton of reasons. And I'm not going to go through them all. Additionally, this sort of thing happens all the time. Every time you've seen a stream match go to time and then one player concedes to the other, they are just as much impacting the quote-unquote competitive integrity of the event as any other concession that exists in that event. The fact that it is high profile and that you have eyeballs on this particular situation, or we heard about it off stream, is a you problem. If you're complaining about one, you need to complain about the others. Now, I don't think there is anything to complain about, and I do sympathize with the general idea that I have been involved with competitive card games, like I said, for 3 decades now. And I do try and take a step back to, just because it's always been this way or it's always been done, doesn't mean that it's inherently good. However, as I just highlighted, if we start changing things about the structure, it isn't just simply this isolated scenario that you need to consider. You need to see what all the potential ramifications are of changing that sort of policy. On top of the fact that there's nothing wrong with it. If you complain about this, do you complain about starters sitting out week 16 and 17 in the NFL? Or that there's a bye system in the NFL? Well, they won all their games first. Why? Well, because they clinched. Once that you hit a certain point, you're mathematically in. That goes into more of the draw discussion than what this is talking about. I think people are clutching pearls, and I don't love the argument that, oh, well, everybody that's complaining about it doesn't make top 8, so why does it affect them? Whereas all the people that are fine with it are the ones who are actually playing it out. That is true, but that doesn't necessarily make it right or wrong independent. It's just that people don't care. And that goes back to what I was describing earlier. If I try to take a step back and think about it, do I care or not care because it has been that way for so long? I think ultimately it doesn't matter. If you boil it all down, the answer to all of these problems is win all your games. If you don't like that somebody, and maybe this is the attitude in me from playing sports and being an athlete, and one of the mantras was always, if you don't like the other team celebrating, don't let them score. Don't let them win. And if you don't like that people are conceding, if you don't like people that are drawing, and these are things that we're not talking about, oh, somebody's cheating, and if you don't like it, just beat them through the cheat. No, that's not what we're talking about. These are things that are allowed within the rules tournament structure. And as mentioned a few moments ago, there are reasons beyond just simply the interactivity of the game itself that require these things to exist. If you don't like it, beat them. Be in the top 8, and then congratulations, you can play it out. Or if you're in the final round and you're on the bubble, you can play it out. Go ahead. I don't think there's anything morally wrong with this. I don't find anything morally reprehensible about this. I don't find anything that even feels off. If you go 5-0, 6-0, 7-0, 8-0, whatever is required, and you draw in, great. If you concede, fine. You're allowed to. I just don't. I want to hear a compelling argument as to why it's problematic. And what was posed to me was competitive integrity. And I don't see what the problem is here. There is no issue with this situation. Is there a situation where somebody could do something malicious, underhanded, whatever, like in general? I guess. This specific instance, we're just clutching at pearls over nothing. And I think that people just want to hate on whoever's at the top. If it was the Bothans that did this, people would be shitting a brick. If it was McClunky, if it was Hopper, if it was Secret, if it was whoever, people would be shitting a brick. They just want to crap on whoever's there. And KTOD happened to be the premier competitive team. People can't accept that they were half of the top 8. So it's like, oh, well, they must have cheated or something. And personally, I find that absolutely ridiculous. So I'm tired of talking about this. I'm tired of seeing Reddit posts about it. It's just, and like every other day, there's something new where it's like, well, this thing is now my new bone to pick. Grow up. God's sake. People need to just grow a spine, stand up for yourself, and like think for yourself. This is absolutely patently absurd. But that's enough words rambled about this. That's going to do it for this week. So as always, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and tune in next time for more Random Thoughts.